It's a unique right in a world where spiritual differences are often the cause of war and acts of terrorism. Over the past 25 years, several new religious movements have flourished in the United States. They exist alongside the established mainstream churches, often in relative obscurity. While converts to some of these religions claim genuine spiritual salvation, many former members and critics speak of a more ominous side. They claim mind control and deception are the tools of the new creeds, and they regard them not as religions, but as destructive cults.
Now, if you don't tell somebody what kind of group you are, let's say you're trying to convert them, and you don't tell them, look, we're going to be expecting you to make X, Y, and Z sacrifices, we're going to say you're not supposed to see your family, we're going to have you on the street selling flowers or whatever for 10, 12, 14 hours a day, that person doesn't know that. Is then subjected to techniques that limit the person's ability to make informed decisions, that person's rights have been very badly violated. The person is being exploited.
The new movements claim they are suffering the persecution that has historically followed the development of any new religious sect. They feel victimized by misconceptions of the public and the media.
You see, the media is filled with all the bad things in the world. It's like when you have a sore, the flies, they go to the sore. This is the activity of the flies. So you have a choice. You can be the fly that goes to the sore, or you can be the bumblebee that goes to the flowers and takes the sweet nectar, according to your taste. So we are actually distributing nectar, but it can only be appreciated by the bumblebees, not the flies.
No matter how controversial their practices may be, today's new spiritual leaders claim to act only in the name of God.
My topic tonight, as you know, is a new future of Christianity.
According to a study done at Brooklyn College, more than 1,300 new religious movements have been established in the United States since 1965. One common stigma many of these new groups share is the cult label. Despite this, some of the movements have amassed a tremendous amount of wealth over a relatively short period of time. Founders of some of these groups are often accused of being little more than entrepreneurs, preying on the emotions of their followers, promising them spiritual salvation for their hard work and money. Unlike many of the other newer religions, the Unification Church spends a significant amount of time dealing with the public, usually asking for money. Members may spend 10 to 15 hours a day selling flowers, books, or puppets. Raising money for Reverend Myung is a major role in their service to God. Donald Hendrick is the Texas director of the Unification Church. Besides conducting Sunday church services, he sees that his flock is out making money.
More than just making money, one has to realize that they're really experiencing God as they solicit. And if that fundraiser is not finding God's heart or expressing God's heart in his activity, he will find that he will come back at the end of the day with very little external result. God will not bless that person. This is a reality that we encounter every day in fundraising. If that person really finds some deep point about God's heart and moves God's heart, maybe through his own tears or realization of the situation of man or God, then he will find himself the object of perhaps a miracle. And there are many miracles in the fundraising animal.
We asked Hendrick to describe such a miracle.
People struggling all day and going long hours and not receiving anything but persecution, rejection, but maintaining their faith, persevering and never giving up on God, something like Job. And at the end of the day, maybe the last person, many testimonies this kind, the person that they meet at the end of the day will come up to them and give them some substantial donation with some spiritual remark of some sort. I've experienced this myself.
Through a term that we were instructed to use, called heavenly deception, it was perfectly acceptable for us to lie, cheat, and deceive these mass people out there, the unsaved masses, because Satan was lying, cheating, and deceiving. It was okay to fight fire with fire.
Terry Buchanan is a successful commercial real estate agent and a former member of the Unification Church. Recruited as a 19-year-old college student in California, Buchanan brought such enthusiasm and salesmanship to the church that he was swiftly enrolled in a leadership training program. Buchanan saved some of his Unification Church literature. He quotes from a talk by Reverend Moon describing one use of money raised by church members. It was an outlandish plan to gain control of the U.S. government.
When senators are linked with our master, the Senate directors and the senators will be close. If the top-level leaders are united with the master, this is Reverend Moon, then all the people will be united in our church. Because of this work, master needs much money. Also, master needs many good-looking girls, 300. He will assign 3 girls to 1 senator. That means we need 300. Let them have a good relationship with him. 1 is for the election, 1 is to be the diplomat, 1 is for the party. If our girls are superior to the senators in many ways, then the senators will be just taken by our members.
Moon's fundraisers have helped him become a corporate giant and an influential figure in Washington, D.C.
I want to wish happy birthday to Reverend Moon. This is his 60th anniversary, and he's had a remarkable life, and I'm very proud of you, Reverend, for the message you have brought to the young people, particularly of our country and other countries around the world.
Reverend Moon's future in the United States is now up to the courts. A federal appeals court recently upheld Moon's tax evasion conviction in a case which might go as far as the Supreme Court. If found guilty, Moon could face an 18-month jail term and a $25,000 fine. The Hare Krishna movement has for many years suffered an image problem with the American public because of its members' unusual appearance. At one time, Krishna devotees were found at most major airports, pressuring travelers for donations. This practice has tapered off somewhat, but not before the Krishnas developed the cult image. Brahmananda Swami was one of the first Americans to join the movement in 1966.
Instead of a cult, we are a culture. It goes back thousands of years. It's based on a vast body of literature to the Vedic literature, which is the largest scriptural literature in the world. The ordinary person may not know the cultural context of this movement, and therefore he's bewildered by it. But if one takes the time to see the cultural aspect, he won't consider it a cult.
Followers claim chanting the Krishna mantra is a high spiritual experience.
So this is a process of welcoming the Lord in the temple through singing and dancing, rejoicing that God lives, God is not dead, he lives. And specifically, he's living in the Hare Krishna temple, and he's living in the hearts of his devotees. So this is a process by which we celebrate that fact.
The Krishnas had found their image improving because of less emphasis on airport soliciting. Instead, they opened dozens of vegetarian restaurants across the country. However, in June of 1983, a California jury found some Krishna chapters and leaders guilty of kidnapping and brainwashing a 15-year-old girl. The jury awarded $32 million to Robin George and her mother. Brahmananda Swami believes that rather than committing a crime, the Krishnas performed a service.
A congressman can have sex with a 17-year-old girl, and he is simply told not to do it again. And then we take a girl, well, she was 14 at the time, and we make her saintly, where that she doesn't do any illicit sex, she doesn't eat animal flesh, she doesn't take any intoxication, and we are fined $32 million. Is this correct?